Hello, my name is Randy Rolfe, and I'm an independent consultant with Nikken. And thank you all for joining us. This is a weekly live presentation by Nikken Consultants. It's not an official corporate presentation, but we're sharing our experiences with the Nikken technologies that have changed our lives in many, many ways. And you'll hear more about that. We have a special guest later after I go through a couple of slides. And there are other calls all week about the business and more about the technologies. So get back with the person who recommended this video and do some more exploration. So this is an introduction, and I'm going to start with sharing some slides so we cover everything. Oh, why is that not? Oh, here we go. So Nikken is a global company and does almost $1 billion a year. They've done over 22 billion sales in their history. And it's all about helping individuals and families take an active role in their wellness and live a life of balance. And we center it on the Nikken Wellness Home, where all of the technologies support our health. I started out my career as a lawyer, and then I became a family counselor because I felt I could make a bigger difference in the world if I was helping families raise healthy, smart children. And what I noticed when I was working with families is the compounding effect of daily choices and habits that the family was using. And these small choices add up through consistency and time to make a radical difference. If a family wasn't sleeping well, maybe one child was wakeful, or they went to bed too late, or they were snacking before bed and didn't really sleep well, if they didn't have a good breakfast, if they came home tired from work and were cranky and irritable with each other, there were major problems. Or they didn't do well at school, and then the parents would be upset and the kids would be upset. It was so much about the home habits of the families. And I had already researched nutrition for my sake of my own family, and I started teaching it to my family counseling clients. And the situation is way worse than when I was doing that as far as our health profile in the US. There's a huge body burden increasing every day. Thousands and thousands of new chemicals are introduced every year. It's in our food, our water, our air, our furnishings, our carpets, our curtains, and our cleaning products and our personal care. We really can't get away from it. So it's a huge stress on the body. And what we can do is encourage our body to give our body everything it needs to try to detoxify as much as possible from these alien man-made chemicals in our environment. And the other piece that is completely new in the 20 years since I discovered Nikken is the changes, the distortions to our natural energy fields by the Wi-Fi, the ubiquitous cell towers and microwaves and cell phones and so on, that add to the burden that was already involved in our environment with the electricity. And for a while we lived in upstate New York. We were homesteading with an old farmhouse, and we minimized the wiring because we knew living in an electrically charged environment wasn't the best thing for the body. And we also had a dirt basement, so there was nothing blocking the magnetic energy of the earth. So we felt like we were getting good energy, and when visitors came up from Philadelphia, they said, "Why don't I ever get tired in your house?" And we were putting them to work because we were reconstructing that house. And we knew it was because we'd minimized the wiring and we were getting the good energy directly up through the house from the earth. So all of these things add up to an amazing stress on the body. And I was so excited to find Nikken that had really explored the impact of these distorting energies and trying to return us to a natural environment with the wellness home. So sleep is another one. People who go camping, they know they get a deeper sleep when they're out on the earth rather than living in a concrete house surrounded by electric. Sleep is a huge problem. One night's poor sleep drops your immune system by 60% immediately the next day. It diminishes the memory, putting memory down for students and older people and everyday things we're trying to remember. And it also is a major contributor to car accidents now. It's almost up there with drug and medication abuse. It's truly scary, and it's all because of our 24/7 lifestyles and all these stresses that our bodies are trying to contend with. And on this slide is also air and water pollution. In most areas in the US, the indoor pollution is actually worse than the outdoor. Since in the 70s, we closed up our houses to save on cooling and heating costs. And we are concentrating, all the chemicals we bring into our house get concentrated into our air. And outdoor air problems around the world are huge too, so that 7 million premature deaths annually are linked to air pollution by the World Health Organization. But we can manage their air in our own homes. And same with water. Bottled water has been found to contain thousands of chemicals, including endocrine disruptors, which affect development and mood, as well as reproduction and overall health. And tap water is even more polluted in many cases. The Flint, Michigan headlines brought the idea that lead is still in our public water, and many cities have had to admit, even schools say, that the water their kids are drinking is polluted with arsenic, lead, and other heavy metals, as well as chemicals and medications from upstream. And the water we drink, we do have control over, but bottled water, first of all, environmentally, people are throwing away 85% of their bottles, and away means the new islands in the Pacific made of plastic bottles. Plus, there's still all those contaminants are still in the bottled water. So we need purification for a good, healthy home environment. Of course, the problem is worst for our children, and it's so scary that they may not even be getting a good start. Over 200 man-made chemicals are found in the typical newborn, and over half of them are known to be carcinogens or neurotoxins, which is really frightening. Obesity rates are at their highest today. A third of our population are threatened with obesity, and 1 out of every 5 adolescents was obese at the last count, and children aged 2 to 11 are overweight because of inadequate consumption of nutrients and the same stresses that all of us adults are exposed to. Less than half of adults eat the needest of adolescents eat the needed amount of vegetables, and only 27.1% by latest count of high school children get the standard set by the Department of Health and Human Services for physical activity. Now, if they're undernourished and tired and burdened with toxins and overweight, it's no wonder they're not jumping and running. It's not because they're lazy or preoccupied. It's because of the stress. And low-income families, of course, have it worse because of limited resources, limited access to healthy foods, and, of course, way more problems financially and stress. And they're often in worse environments. So it's hard and it's unacceptable in the wealthiest, supposedly healthiest country in the world. Now, we spend more money on health per capita than any other developed country, and yet we have more chronic disease than any other developed country. So we're doing something wrong. Our healthcare system is great for acute problems, but it doesn't solve the chronic burdens of all these stresses I've just described. So what is the answer? Take personal responsibility through self-care. We like to say be healthy by choice, not by chance, because as I've just said, the statistics are not good if you leave it to chance. So we encourage people to choose active wellness, and that's the process through which we become aware and make choices every day towards a more successful, healthy existence. So Nikken entered the picture in 1975, starting in Japan, which is the healthiest country in the world. And that's because they focus on prevention and building the body, not waiting for it to fall apart and then hoping a drug or surgery will solve your problem. Nikken started with the 5 pillars of health idea, and this is the core philosophy. Everybody deserves to have balance in the 5 pillars of health: healthy mind, healthy body, healthy family, healthy society, and healthy finances. And I fell in love with that idea because when I gave up a big firm law practice, I figured I wasn't going to get the big finances. But I did it because I wanted more time with my family, healthier environment mind-wise, and I saw partners in the firm that were making high 6 figures, but their health was falling apart. So that didn't look like a program I wanted to follow. So that 5 pillars of health is amazing. And so Nikken started with using magnetic products in their insoles, and then they developed a sleep system, and then nutrition line, a water line, and do a lot for air and light as well. So we call it the Nikken Wellness Home, and I have a certified wellness home with a plaque on the outside of my house, so people ask about that. And it's to create the ultimate, what I call the ultimate wellness environment in your home, so that you just come home and get renewed. It's not like you have to do a whole lot of things. You just have a nurturing environment. So the Wellness Home creates that environment of well-being, inspiring us to make healthy choices every day. And what happens is if you get good sleep and you're drinking good water, you usually make healthier nutrition choices. And Nikken has an amazing line of organic-based, whole food-based food supplements, and an amazing meal replacement powder. So this next slide shows there are 3 categories: nutrition and skincare, environment, and rest and relaxation. And Nikken's signature technologies are in the rest and relaxation because they are the world's leader in presenting consumer non-medical products to help restore us to the natural magnetic fields that all life thrives on. And so in the picture, you see the folded up sleep pad, which is the core of everything, I believe. And then the seat that I'm sitting on now at my desk, the insoles you wear during the day, the pillow that's ergonomically designed and gives a perfect environment for the head and the brain, and the mask, which I've been selling a lot of them recently because they do so much for the eyes and the sinuses, and make darkness. It's really important to have darkness for good deep sleep. And then the little massage tool is one of the favorite products. In the environment, we have the leading purification system called the waterfall. You don't even have to plug it in. It's gravity feed. Put your tap water in and you get the finest PyMag water from Nikken coming out. It's alkalized, it's mineralized, purified, and actually is microstructured by the magnet as well, just as if it came right out of the earth. And we have a shower system and a sport bottle you take with you, so you never have to buy bottled water with a plastic bottle. This bottle is actually completely natural material that will degrade into your garden in a couple of weeks. The nutritional line, I said I studied nutrition, and I was so excited to see that Nikken was absolutely at the cutting edge of their nutritional line too. They have the finest organic barley grass powder to sustain, to give you the chlorophyll and sustain the digestion and so on. Really, you need to delve into the nutritionals, and they make it easy to get your monthly allotment of whatever your body needs to stay balanced. And then the skincare is eco-certified. It's an amazing line of skincare. We love it. And so let me stop the screen share right now and invite our guest, Jeannie Zedan to share her story with us. So let's see, Jeannie, I'll unmute you. And welcome. Thank you for being our guest on the show today. And I'd like you to start, Jeannie, to share how you first discovered Nikken.
Well, thank you for letting me do this. This is very exciting. I discovered Nikken at the Oregon State Fair about 14 years ago, actually. My husband and I have demonstrated kitchen gadgets at state fairs and home shows all these years, and there was a Nikken booth. And one of my customers she could buy like 10 or 12 of what I was selling. Usually it was a vegetable-related item. Anyway, she noticed that I was getting repetitive injuries. She noticed that I was rubbing my hands and my thumbs and offered me a product to put around my wrist, and I got results. That caught my attention because we were living on ibuprofen, kind of to make it through the work days, and I knew that was not good. And so I was kind of in the back of my mind really looking for something. So that was my introduction, and I was thrilled by that. My husband had burned a hole in his stomach from eating out, I mean, all these different things that had happened. And I was raised in a healthy environment. I think I was very fortunate. My mother was very much into prevention. So I was already minded in that direction. And of course, in the 70s, diet and exercise was really important. So I knew about diet and exercise. But when I found Nikken and learned about Wellness Home, wow, I was sucked right in because it just made sense.
So what now do you find is most important to you with the Nikken technologies, Jeannie?
Oh wow, that's always a hard one because I also have a certified wellness home, and we slowly put things into our home. We moved into a new home in 1994. I knew that all the stuff that was coming off the walls and the carpet. I knew about that. We had put an air machine in our home. About 10 years later, when Nikken came along, it died. So I bought an air machine in my home, and a few months later, I started noticing I had no headaches, allergies, and just some different things. I also started using the nutritional line, the barley bread, the J. Greenzymes. I just love. It's still one of my favorites. We needed a new sleep system. At that time, we needed a mattress, I kept saying. And so I think the combination, but I really believe sleep is just huge. And I always thought I slept well until we got this. And my husband and I always joke about he's going to be the first one into the cocoon. Can't wait to jump in the bed. And we, in the next morning, not stiff and sore and all these different things. So that was huge because our work has been very physical. So it gives our bodies time to recuperate, rejuvenate. And I think water is very important. We traveled a lot, and so we drank bottled water. Because bottled water regular water just tasted bad. And so I really believe the water, I knew water was important to drink. And so with that change, the sport bottle, we actually travel when we drive somewhere, we actually bring our waterfall with us, put it beside of the van, and we have fresh water all along our trip.
Oh, that's neat. That's very cool. So do you share in your travels, do you talk to other people about what the technologies are doing for you?
Oh, absolutely. And it seems that people all over the place are looking for something. I really believe people are searching for something that's different. And kind of like I was when I first ran into Nikken, or Nikken ran into me, whichever, that there are people that know that what they're doing is not good, but yet they don't know what else to do. So We have solutions. I just think it's so great to have that, whether it's a discomfort that you have or whether it's a water thing, or maybe you don't sleep well. Love my insoles. I can wear my insoles and my back flex in my back. Well, on right now. And a necklace. And when I'm working, because we still do a little bit of that, not as much as we used to. But, you know, to work a fair is like 10, 12, sometimes 17 days in a row, 12-hour work days. I have the energy I need, drinking the water, taking my supplements. We perform better than people 20 and 30 years younger than we are. So, and people take notice of that.
Yes, I know. I've written some parenting books and was teaching nutrition, so I've done a number of fairs, and I love prospecting the other exhibitors on the third day because they're dragging, and I'm just bouncing around because of those insoles and getting good night's sleep in between. So true. So what has happened for other members of your family that you've noticed when they get some of the Nikken technologies?
Oh, well, you know, in our household, and with our pets too, I have a chocolate lab. But my husband, specifically, he had, and today he's got the duct tape on his knees. So, and he used to have, his elbows would swell hugely. And that's why he was eating so much ibuprofen to bring the swelling down. But now he does ice. You know, before Nikken, he would do ice on there to bring the swelling down. He learned from his chiropractor. But he's like the bionic Nikken man. He wears all the products. He wears the knee wraps. I'll ask him all the time, what's wrong with your knee? He goes, nothing. I wear these to prevent because I have had issues in the past. So at 65, he's in better shape than he was when he was in his early 40s. So he's because of these products. And then our dog, our chocolate lab, when she was 1.5 years old, had a stroke of the spine. She lost the use of her back legs. And we rehabbed her within a couple of months to where she could walk. She's now 9.5. But she wears a power band necklace. We give her treatments every night. She sleeps on the pet pad. She gets jade greenzyme. She gets, we feed her a really good food, and she gets good water and air. She's amazing at what she does. And at 9.5 years old, she's still very active. She loves to swim, so we have a pool. She swims all the time, even in the winter. She's seen great results as well. And I have family members that have the insoles, that love the mag creator, and for their massage therapy. Still working on some of them, getting them more involved.
Yeah, sometimes family can be tough. They're like, who are you to know all this stuff about energy medicine? You know.
Oh, and they're all out of town too. They're all in Texas, so I'm in Arizona. So when I see them, I always bring my whole thing.
Yes.
I bring my wellness home with me.
Cool.
I love that.
Well, it's so much fun that Nikken has products from $15 to $1,500 because you can start anywhere. Do you talk a little more about the duct tape, how it's helped your husband, how it works, what it does?
Well, we see our chiropractor occasionally, not as much as we used to, and he always had, before Nikken had the duct tape, I had some knee issues, and he would tape my knee. So I knew about duct tape with my shoulder. I thought it was kind of interesting. Never really paid much attention. He was the doc and put it on, so I felt better. So when Nikken came out with that, I was like, wow. And then it has our technology in it, which is comforting to the body and helps it to heal. And so my husband came home with a taped knee. He said, oh, we should have taken the duct tape. I didn't know he was going to tape his knee. And it's just from standing and walking. He's very active. He loves to walk, and twisted his knee somehow. And so this morning, just this morning, as a matter of fact, he goes, before I leave, would you tape my other knee? Because my other knee needs it too. So we taped his knee, and then we added some to the other tape that the doc had put on. And he said, I can feel it instantly. It's so much better already. And I'll tell a story. A friend of mine is a massage therapist, and she's been taking the tape, little pieces down her forefinger and her thumb, because she's really busy right now, and those have been bothering her. And it's really helped her a whole lot. So following the muscle down, she would take the tape and cut it into 3 strips. A little strip down here, a little strip down here, and a little strip. So, and she said it's very effective.
That's great. That's another point about Nikken products. You can't go wrong with them. Just be inventive and creative and use them, whatever makes sense to you. And you can be original and creative about it. And that's great. I love the story about your dog, because obviously they haven't watched any videos. They don't care about the literature. They don't know anything about distorting energy, but they respond, and because it's working right at the cellular and molecular level, and it's wonderful to be able to help our animals, because they're totally dependent on the environment we create for them.
And she was my husband's first dog in his whole life, and so got her as a puppy, 8 weeks old, and this happened to her, and we were both just destroyed by it. Really, we cried for a week. Most people would. I don't know about most people, but a lot of people said you should have put her down and all these things. And we're like, oh, are you kidding me? No way. So I read about rehabbing horses underwater, swimming, and those kind of things. And then I learned about, I thought, well, Nikken products, these have got to help her too. So we rolled her out with that little massage tool we have. I don't have it right here. But the Mag Duo, which they call it now, every day. Sometimes 2-3 times a day. We rotated her legs around. Just put every product around her and on her. Travel comforter wrapped around her, and all these things. And she got better and still is. So it's fabulous.
And you said she sleeps on the pet pad as well, so she's got her own good sleep environment with the comforter. And
she goes right to it every night. We see her go off to go to bed. She'll go and lie on her pad, sleeps there most of the night.
And do you find she prefers the Mag water to the other
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
she's outside. She kind of sticks her nose up at the bucket of water outside. She usually wants to come in and drink because we've got the Mag water in the house.
Yeah, so when you see a dog or cat or a horse choosing Mag water, the chances are they know what they're doing.
I have a girlfriend that has a cat. It was not drinking water, and she now drinks water all the time because she got the waterfall and uses that. And the cat, she has to fill up the bowl big now. It used to be a small amount, and the cat would hardly drink any of that. Now it's a big bowl of Mag water.
Cool. Now, Jeannie, you said at the beginning that something was bothering you about your hands, and your hands look youthful and flexible and everything. Tell us a little more about that.
Well, it just, I sold a vegetable cutter. So I was gripping with one hand, slicing with the other. Remember those mandolins? Probably have seen those. And doing that, probably, let's see, because this was in, probably had done it at that time, started in the early 80s. At this time, it was 2000. So 20 years of doing that kind of stuff, repetitive injuries, but mainly my thumb because I was gripping. And so it was right in here, this joint, and down my thumb. And I would constantly rub it. But I was eating ibuprofen to try to get those, So when I put on a bracelet, it was, can I say the name of the person? It was Char Rogers. She had 2 bracelets around her neck hooked together, and she said, here, try this. And then left, and I didn't see her for a couple of days. That's when I found out there was a Nikken boot, because I had never left my boot. Anyway, I said, okay, I need one of these. That worked great for me. That started my journey.
Oh, that's
now,
so cool.
Of course, the CM cream, and I take the joint product. Anything starts to flare up, which is very rare, which is awesome. I'll take extra joint, and then I use the serum cream almost like a hand cream.
And I love that about Nikken because you said you discovered that 14 years ago, and most people expect that kind of condition to get worse and worse and worse. And so you're saying it still 14 years later, it's better than it was.
And as far as prevention goes, I really think that I never know what I've prevented in my body. And I think I could have been a perfect candidate for a lot of these descriptive issues in the body, and I'm not.
Yeah, I think those of us that are over 60, the anti-aging is so important because they say that the average American over 60 is on 6 medications, and that means there's side effects to deal with, and the body has to accommodate all those man-made products that are designed to have a specific result, but are still a burden, an added burden on the body. We just have another moment or two. Hattie Jane and Karen Rose are my co-hosts here. Do you have any questions for Jeannie, Hattie Jane or Karen Rose?
Hi, Jeannie. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, so you're in Phoenix?
I am.
Yeah, I'd love to have your contact information. I have a
Okay.
couple of people in that area.
What's the best way to do that?
Maybe on the
We
chat.
can put it on the chat, or we can share it after I end the recording would probably be best.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get a deluge.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I've also had experience with animals as well. So I've had a couple dogs that had issues in their hind legs, and I brought them back with the Nikken products. So they're great for animals. Animals really respond beautifully to this. So I just wanted to support that.
And again, it's like when veterinarians, just like doctors, will say, well, there's nothing more we can do. There's still self-care steps that we can take to support the body and give it a chance to heal itself from some fairly severe situations. Hattie Jane, did you want to say something?
See her kitty cats.
Oh, she's showing off her kitty cat. All right. Testimonial from the kitty cat. Let's see. You got to unmute yourself.
I'm sorry. There I go.
Yes.
So yes, I did haul this one up. She is wearing a necklace around her neck because she has an irritation factor with one of the kids. And she'll spit and spurt at them and just cause a great upheaval, just like a kid or a human being that really doesn't like something that they've experienced with that person or animal before. And she just calms right on down. And much less arguments in the house. They're even eating in the same territory. It's getting there. And I noticed with my mom, who had Alzheimer's, that when she wore a mini around her neck, down around her chest region, she also was happier with me, which is great. So even though she didn't know me. So those are little odds and ends that have come up about animals that I just wanted to share. And thank you very much.
Sure. Yeah, it's so exciting. I'm glad you brought up the whole mood issue that elevates our mood because our brain is connected to our body. And if we're hurting and tired, it affects our moods and how we relate to others, whether it's our spouse or our children or our relatives or our animals. We benefit when the body's healthy, the mind is healthier. So, Jeannie, do you have any last thoughts to share with someone who's new to Nikken?
Oh. Well, I just say get what you want and be sure and investigate Nikken because it's amazing. I'm really thrilled to be able to be a part of the company for this many years, and I will always be a part of it. And we are launching the Phoenix area too, so that's exciting. Because people need to know more about this and we've got to be more vocal about it. So we need help, and so get in there and get some results. Try the products yourself and be healthier. The worst thing that can happen is nothing. It's all good.
Yeah, it's about active wellness. So,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much, Jeannie Zedan from Arizona, for being our guest. I'm going to share a couple more slides now. Back to this one. So let's begin your success story. If you're new to Nikken, active wellness and living a life in balance, discover it, live it, and we know when you fall in love with it, you'll want to share it, at least with your family members and your loved ones. But Nikken has a very generous compensation plan so that you can become a part-time entrepreneur, become part of the gig economy, and there's a call tonight that focuses on that, so find out about that, and you can become a full-time entrepreneur and really replace your current income and keep it growing, because there's no ceilings to what you can earn with Nikken. So thank you all for joining, and I appreciate your interest in Nikken.